up knowing there's a reason. All my dreams come alive. Life is for living with you. I've made my decision. You lift me up, fill my eyes with wonder. Forever young in your love, this freedom's untainted. With you, no moment is wasted. See the sun now bursting through the clouds, black and white, turns to color all around. All is new in the Savior I have found. This is living now. This is living now. You lead the way, guide you right beside me. In your love I'm complete. There's nothing like living with you. This life you created, I choose. See the sun now bursting through the clouds, black and white, turns to color all around. All is new in the Savior I have found. This is living now. This is living now. You take me higher than I've been before. It's your perfect love that sees me so. Cause your freedom is an open door. You are everything I want and see the sun now bursting through the clouds, black and white, turns to color all around. All is new in the Savior I have found. See the sun now bursting through the clouds, black and white, turns to color all around. All is new in the Savior I have found. Oh, this is living now. Oh, this is living now. Yeah. You take me higher than I've been before. It's your perfect love that sees me so. Cause your freedom is an open door. You are everything I want and more.
Hello everybody and welcome to Renewal Family Church. My name is Kibali and if you're here for your very first time, feel very welcome. We're going to be having lots of fun and dancing and lovely stories about God. So what we normally do when we come here, we do some dancing. So how about you stand up, get some space and let's get some dancing. Get some space.
No matter what I'm gonna face tomorrow. I bet my life on everything you say. Turn the light on, now I see forever. The path is clearer out in front of me. I put one foot in front of the other, keeping my eyes on you. My life following Jesus. I trust you. are my rock, my everything. As the world shakes, shakes and things break, break. You are my rock, my everything. As the world shakes, shakes and things break, break. You are my rock, my everything. No matter what I'm gonna face tomorrow. I build my life on everything you say. Turn the light on, now I see forever. The path is clearer out in front of me. I put one foot in front of the other, keeping my eyes on you. My life following Jesus, I trust you. I trust you. As the world shakes, shakes and things break, break. You are my rock, my everything. As the world shakes, shakes and things break, break. You are my rock, my everything. As the world shakes, shakes and things break, break. You are my rock, my everything. As the world shakes, shakes and things break, break. You are my rock, my everything. As the world shakes, and things break. As the world shakes, and things break. As the world shakes, shakes and things break, break. You are my rock, my everything. As the world shakes, shakes and things break, break. You are my rock, my everything. As the world shakes, shakes and things break, break. You are my rock, my everything. As the world shakes, shakes and things break, break. You are my rock, my everything.
Awesome, guys. I hope you enjoyed dancing. I had an amazing time. And today we're going to be looking at some of the very, very young people that God used to do amazing things. In the past few weeks, we've looked at the story of Miriam. And do you remember what Miriam did? She saved her brother Moses by talking to the princess. And then her mom got to take care of the brother Moses. And later on, we see that God used Moses to save the entire nation of Israel. Not just Miriam. We also talked about Samuel. And do you remember Samuel? The special thing about Samuel is that God called him out loud and was like, Samuel! Not once or twice, but 3 times. And Samuel had no clue who was talking to him. So he kept running to Eli and later on Eli told him that, you know what? It's God who's talking to you. So when he called, you know what you should say? Speak, Lord, for your servant is listening. And then whatever God told Samuel to do, he did it, and he listened to God and he obeyed. He told everybody what God had said. After that, we looked at the story of a lovely young little girl who was Naaman's servant. Do you remember Naaman? He was that army soldier. He was not just any soldier, but he was a captain, right? And he had fallen really, really sick. He had that really stinky disease called leprosy. And you know what? When you have leprosy, people really don't want to be around you. But because Naaman's servant girl shared God's love with him, Naaman went to the stinky river and he had to dip inside 7 times. And God healed Naaman. Last week we looked at the story of King Josiah. Yes, it was King Josiah. He was a small boy who became a king at only 8 years old. And wow, look at what God did with King Josiah. He used him to change the story of the whole nation of Judah. Why? Because King Josiah learned about the word of God and he told everybody to listen and obey the word of God. And not just that, he went around destroying anything that looked like an idol. And we know an idol is anything that you worship or you bow down to that is not God that becomes an idol. I hope that you have been enjoying watching these stories, and today we're going to look at the last story of this series, which is God using young people to do great things. Are you ready for it? But just before we do that, let me ask you guys a question at home. Have you ever found yourself stuck? Not stuck in the mud like the game we play, but stuck in a place just because everybody around you is doing something they're not meant to be doing, and you feel like you don't want to do it because it's the wrong thing, but everybody else is doing it? What did you do about that? I have found myself in such a place. You know what? We got home, and normally when we get home, we're supposed to first do our assignment and our homework and finish everything before we go out and play, right? So I get home and I have my books and I'm supposed to be doing my assignment, but my siblings want to go and play. So they all ran out to play and they were saying, Kipali, come, let's go and play. And I'm thinking, oh, should I go and play or should I first finish my assignment? Should I go? So I just decided, you know what? I'm just gonna be home. And I'll first finish my assignment and then I'll later on join my friends and my siblings. But they did not like that. So after that, they were like, we're not gonna be your friend. So I felt really bad, but at the end of the day, I was able to do what was the right thing at the moment, even if it cost me my friends for that time. Later on, they said they're sorry, and now we are all friends again. This reminds me of a story in the Bible, our last story for this series. And remember the series is God can use young people to do big things. So for this story, what happened is, it's a story about not one or two, but 3 young people. And these people had been taken away from their land, and they were forced to do something that they knew for sure is the wrong thing. They were really, really brave, and they trusted God no matter what. Watch this story with me.
It's time for a Bible story. A long time ago in the land of Israel, there lived 3 young guys named Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego.
Whoa, hold on, wait a minute. What are those names? Did you say their names were Sad Rat, Mean Hat, and a Bendy Goat?
No, not even close. Their names were Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. And they were some pretty solid dudes. They loved God with all their heart, and things were going pretty well for them. Until one day, all of that changed.
Wait, let me guess what happened. They were taken from their homeland by an invading army.
Well, actually, yeah, that's exactly what happened. Do you know the story already?
Whoa, really? Crazy. That was just a random guess. What are the odds of that, huh?
Well, you're right. Israel was invaded by the wicked King Nebuchadnezzar.
Whoa, that stinks. And double whoa, because the names in this story are crazy.
I know, right? King Nebuchadnezzar invaded their country and took a bunch of people captive, and then brought them back to his home country called Babylon.
Hold up. Okay. I know the names in this story are a little wonky, but you gotta be kidding me. He was from a place called Babyland? That sounds awesome. An entire country full of adorable babies? Actually, that doesn't sound awesome. I bet it smelled like a giant diaper. Ugh.
No, not Babyland. It was called Babylon, and I'm sure it smelled just fine.
Gotcha. So what happened when they got to Babylon?
Well, they were trying to adjust to where they live now. I mean, one day they're chilling at home in Israel, and the next day they're in a totally different country. They didn't know anybody there, they don't speak the language, and on top of all that, they were forced to work as slaves.
Yikes, that is pretty rough, man. I bet they were like so super scared. I mean, they're in a completely different country, they don't know anybody, they're completely on their own. Man, I would be totally freaked out.
Actually, they didn't freak out. They knew God was with them, so they kept on like they had before. Every day they would pray and worship God.
Hey, that's great to hear. Sounds like things could turn around, huh?
Well, things did change, but not really in the way that you might expect. One day, King Nebuchadnezzar decided to have a huge statue of himself built. He wanted to be 90 feet tall and made out of gold.
Seriously, a 90-foot golden statue of himself? Man, what a waste of a statue. I'd rather have a 90-foot gold statue of something awesome, like a really fat hamster. Oh, or like a unicorn playing guitar.
I agree. Those would be pretty sweet. But no, he wanted it to be of himself. And once the statue was built, he ordered people from all around to come and see it. He had musicians set up all around the statue and gave the order that when they started to play, everyone would bow down and worship him.
Okay, that's a little weird. So what does this have to do with our three amigos exactly?
Well, that's where things get interesting. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego were some of the people that were ordered to come and see the statue. But, as you can imagine, they weren't very interested in worshiping King Nebuchadnezzar. They only worshiped God.
So what happened?
Just like the king ordered, the band kicked in and everybody bowed down to the statue except for 3 people. You want to guess who?
Larry, Curly, and Moe.
Swing and a miss. It was actually Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. And as you can imagine, the king was not very happy with them disobeying his orders. But he liked Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, so he gave them a second chance to change their minds and worship him. The band kicked in again, everybody else bowed down, but
Let me guess, they didn't bow.
no sirree, Bob.
Yeesh, I bet he really did not like that.
No, he did not. King Nebuchadnezzar was furious that they had refused to worship him, but they held firm and told the king that they would only worship the one true God.
Oh boy, I bet they got punished pretty bad, huh? What'd they get, like 1,000,000 spankings?
No, much worse than that. The king's guards grabbed Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego and took them to a huge fiery furnace, a giant oven with flames blazing out all over it.
Good grief, that thing is no joke. It's gotta be like 1,000,000 degrees, or like a bazillion Celsius, or like 5 Kelvin.
Well, look at you, Mr. Science. And yes, it was very hot. The king decided to give them one more chance to bow down to him. And if they didn't, he was going to throw them into the fiery furnace.
Whoa, he was seriously gonna like kill him?
Straight up.
So what'd they do? I mean, did they just give in and bow down? I mean, listen, that would be totally understandable. I mean, look at that oven thing, man. They'd get roasted like marshmallows in there. That would be terrifying.
That's true. It was a pretty scary situation, but they trusted in God and they weren't afraid. They knew that God was more powerful than King Nebuchadnezzar, and if God was on their side, they didn't have to be afraid. So when the king said one last time to bow down, they refused.
Uh-oh, so did he throw him in the furnace?
Nope. Instead, the king ordered the furnace to be made 7 times hotter than it already was, and then throw them in.
What? How do you even do that? That's gotta be like as hot as the sun, or like an atomic bomb, or my new mixtape.
No. But it got so hot that when the guards opened the door, the heat was so strong that they were instantly killed.
Oh, look, the guards are dead. Now's your chance. Run for it, guys.
Well, there were other guards. Kind of an expendable resource back then.
Oh, that's kind of sad.
So another set of guards grabbed Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, dragged them over to the furnace, and threw them inside. King Nebuchadnezzar and everybody else watched as they closed the door and waited. But what happened next? Nobody ever expected. There in the furnace, in those blazing hot flames, stood 4 men.
Wait, what? They didn't die? Like an instant, terrible death of burning and dying?
Nope. The guards and King Nebuchadnezzar could not believe their eyes. There were 4 figures standing in the flames, totally fine.
Hold up, wait a second. There were 4 people? I thought you said they threw in 3 people. You know, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. That's only 3.
True, but there was a 4th person in the furnace with them. It was Jesus.
What?
Yep, Jesus was with them in the fiery furnace and protected them from the flames. King Nebuchadnezzar told them to come out, and they walked out completely unharmed. Their clothes didn't even smell like smoke.
That is incredible. So that's why they weren't afraid of the king, huh? They trusted in God so much and knew that he would be with them when the times got tough.
Exactly. That day, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego showed King Nebuchadnezzar and everyone in Babylon that God was with them, and no matter what came their way, they didn't have to fear.
That is totally stinking awesome.
You bet. The end.
What a story! Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, taken away from their land, they find themselves in a new land with a king who is so full of himself. This king was so spoiled. He always got what he wanted, however he wanted it, whenever he wanted it. And I mean, who's like that king who makes an idol of himself? An idol of gold? I think there are many more things to do with gold, better things than make an idol of yourself. Anywho, this king, after he made the idol, forced everybody to worship him. But Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego knew who the right person to worship is. And that was not this king, Nebuchadnezzar. No. It was King Jesus. King Jesus is the right king to worship. So even if they were forced to bow down, they were like, we're not going to do it. You're not going to make us do it. And later on we see that because of that, they were forced to go into the fire. And guess what, guys? The best part of the story was that even in the fire, they trusted that God was going to be with them. That must have been hard at first. I mean, if I were the one, if I was there, I don't think I would have done that. What about you? How about you talk more about this with your families?
Following Jesus is my great adventure. Following Jesus means I'll put him first. He is the light guiding me through the darkness. Following Jesus, the hope of the world. Following Jesus is my great adventure. Following Jesus means I'll put him first. He is the light guiding me through the darkness. Following Jesus, the hope of the world. He's my hero. He's the greatest of all. He's my hero. It's why I sing. He's my hero. He's the greatest of all. He's my hero. It's why I sing, why I sing. Following Jesus is my great adventure.
Awesome, guys. I hope that you are able to share with your families some of the things that you learned from this story. And looking at the questions you were discussing, how about we look at them together? So question number 1. Who were the 3 people that we were learning about in today's story? There was Shadrach, there was Meshach, and Abednego. Question number 2. What crazy thing did the king do? The king Nebuchadnezzar built a golden statue that was so big, so big, and forced everybody to bow down to it. That was a crazy thing. Question number 3. Why was King Nebuchadnezzar not happy with Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego? He was so furious because they refused to bow down to him. They refused to bow down to the king. I mean, they knew who the real king is. And the real king is King Jesus. It was not King Nebuchadnezzar. Nobody should bow down to any person. We should all bow down to Jesus. Awesome. Question number 4. How did the furious King Nebuchadnezzar punish Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego? Guys, it was crazy. He threw them in the fire. And not just any fire. He made that fire to be 7 times hotter than any other fire. It was such a huge fire. The soldiers who are taking Shadrach, Meshach, Abednego right there burnt and died before even Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego got in there. So that was a crazy, crazy thing. But question number 5, what special thing happened in the fire? Guess what, guys? Jesus joined them in the fire. And Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego did not burn. In fact, the Bible tells us that after they left the fiery furnace, you know what happened? They were not even having the smell of smoke. Nobody could tell they were in the fire. They were glowing instead. All right, guys, we see that from our story today, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego trusted God and lived out that trust. They believed that nobody else should be worshipped apart from God. Yes, they were young, just like you and I. Well, maybe I'm a little older, but even though they were young, they still believed that God had their back and God was going to be with them. And they still chose to do what was right, no matter the consequence. My hope is that both of us can always find a reason to choose what is right, no matter the consequence. That sometimes you may go to school and everyone is bullying one person and choose to do the right thing by helping the person who is being bullied. Or you come from school and maybe you have an assignment to do, homework, right? And all your friends are going out to play. Remember to choose to do the right thing, do your homework first, and then go out and play. Yeah, so guys, whatever you do, wherever you are, remember that you can always choose to do the right thing, just like Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. So, to help us remember that, how about we all stand up, and let's do our memory verse together. Do you guys remember it? All right, so let's all, are you ready? Are you ready for this? Let's do this. In 3, 2, 1, go. Colossians chapter 3, 23. And it says, whatever, I can't hear you guys, whatever you do, give it your best. Like you're doing it for Jesus. So let's try and do it a little bit faster. Are you guys ready? All right, Colossians chapter 3, 23. It says, whatever you do, give it your best. Like you're doing it for Jesus. Awesome, guys, awesome. I hope you were able to remember the memory verse. And now it is craft time.
Craft time.
Can you see the guys? Can you guys see them dancing here? Oh, there we go. It was something like this. Well, this is a man-made fake fireplace, but theirs was not fake. It was like a real fireplace. So for today's craft, what we're going to be making are some dancing people right here, using some paper and some crayons. So these are my guys. What you need is a brown paper, packing paper, something like this, right? I have a big brown paper bag. Then you also need some small, well, you can use a small cardboard, or if you don't have a cardboard, what you could use is a straw. It will just be for sticking the stick person, and then putting them in the fire, right? You need some crayons or some coloring pens. So these are the ones I have. You need a white paper, and you need some masking tape and glue and scissors. Are you guys ready for this craft? Let's do it. Step number 1, we need to cut a big hole around the brown paper, just like this. So I'll put my brown paper right there. Let me take the one I'm going to be using for illustration. So just draw a big circle. You can use your masking tape, or you can just use something else that is round. So step number 1, I'm gonna draw So once you've cut your paper into a circle, we're gonna take the part that you cut out and we're gonna glue fire on it. But before we glue the fire, we need to make the fire. So how about we take our paper and make some fire? How do we make some fire? We're gonna color it. If you have paint, you can color with some paint. And the colors we need is red, orange, and yellow. So we're just going to draw the fire out. So something like this. You can draw several flames. This is one of the flames. once you're done drawing, color the flame. So we're gonna use the colors red, orange, and yellow in any order. Alright guys, when you're done coloring, it should look something like this, all colored and painted if you're using paint. And then what we're gonna do is cut out the flame. So I'm gonna take my scissors and cut out the flame. Be careful with the scissors. Guys, your fires don't have to be perfect because it's fire and you can't really tell the shape of fire. So don't stress so much about it. Once you have them cut out, just like this, okay? So I have my flames right here. Let me move my trash. I have my flames right here. So what I'm gonna do next is stick some of them to the circle that I cut. Do you remember the first circle? I'm gonna stick some of them on the back side so that I put them inside the furnace to act like they're inside the furnace. So put some glue on your circles. Put the circle inside. And then put some more glue on some of your flames because they're going to be stuck inside. Some of them will be stuck inside and some of them you can stick on the outside. Guys, can you see what I've done to stick my fire? Something like this. And if you feel like maybe your paper is too big, like I'm feeling like I've left too much space up here, what you can do, you can just take your marker and add more fire right there. So that's exactly what I'm gonna do. I'm just going to hold my paper like this and take my marker and add a bit more fire. Fire in the mountain, run, run, run. Add some fire just like this to make it look a bit more fierce. Maybe I need to put it down flat. There we go, guys. So I've added some fire on the paper and also inside. Can you see how scary? Okay, maybe it's not meant to be so scary because it's our fake fire, but this is how it kind of looked like maybe for Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. So how about we make Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego by creating them using some paper sticks. As the fire burns on the side, what we're gonna do, let's create Shadrach, Meshach, Abednego. Take some of your plain paper and the remaining pieces of plain paper you have and just draw stick people. Really simple. I'm just gonna take some few pieces from my plain paper, and I'm gonna draw some stick people. So two, there were 3 of them, and they were joined by Jesus, who was the 4th person. So you need 4 pieces of paper. 3, and here we go. There we go, 4 pieces of paper, just like this. So what we're gonna do is draw a stick person. Close your glue when you're done. To draw the stick person, it's quite simple. Just draw a head, and then a stick body, legs, and hands. Then you do it again. So the 4th one, guys, is a special one. In fact, I'll add an extra thingy on the top so that you see this is a special one that looked like an angel. And some people think it was actually Jesus. I actually think it could have been Jesus. So for this one, when you're done, just cut it out like this. And then what you're gonna do, you can color them or decorate them in whatever crayons you have. I'll just use purple on one of them. Awesome, guys. So I've colored Shadrach. Maybe you can write their names briefly. So there's S for Shadrach. There is M for Meshach. And there is A for Abednego. And the last one is J for Jesus. There we go. All right, guys, so here are my 4 guys. Can you see them? This 2, and then this one, and then this one. And then the almost last step is we're gonna stick these people to some cardboard. If you don't have small cardboard, what you can use is a straw. So just cut the cardboard into really thin pieces. Here's some of the cardboard I had. So I'm just gonna cut it into 4 pieces so that we can stick our men on the bottom part of the cardboard. There we go. I have this too, and then cut out a bit more of the rest. There we go. So guys, I have 4 of them, so each stick person is gonna get 1, and then we're going to glue them. But when you're gluing, remember to glue them on the bottom up like this, so that you have the longer part of the stick, so that you can be able to hold the long part of the stick like this. All right, so let's do that just now and finish up. Alright guys, so my stickmen are on their sticks, just like this. Remember, if you don't have cardboard, you can always use some straw, but just stick all of them. And then we are almost done. We get to the final bit of the craft, and the final bit is bringing your fire right here so that everybody can see. Sorry, my paper is a bit too big. So I'm just gonna cut it a little bit. If yours is also big, you can cut it out a little bit, but cut the top part of the paper so that it gives you some space to put down the man into the fire, just like that. So I have some space. Can you guys see? I have some space that side and some space this side. So I have some space, and then here we go. They were thrown inside the fire. Can you guys see them? Can you guys see them inside the fire? There we go. And they were dancing, so you can move them around a little bit like this. Dancing, dancing in the fire, dancing, dancing in the fire, dancing in the fire. And then I'm gonna try and hold the 3 men right here so that I can bring Jesus in. Here he goes. And Jesus came, and Jesus was the 4th person in the fire. So they were all dancing, dancing in the fire, dancing, dancing in the fire. And you know, guys, why they were dancing in the fire? It's because they trusted that God would be with them in the fire and God would help them. And even if they were young people, their faith in God was unshakable. As in, nobody could get them to do the wrong thing because they believed in Jesus. And you and I can have the same kind of faith to believe that God will be with us even in the hardest of times, in the hardest of places. And not just that, He will help us to remember to make the right choice no matter the cost, no matter what happens. Awesome, guys. So you can use this craft to go and tell people about the story and also tell them how brave Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego were and the miracle of how Jesus went in and helped them. All right, so for now, let's put our men down. Maybe you can just hold them right next to the fire like this. Each person could try and hold one. And I'd like us to pray together. Are you ready? All right. So you can repeat after me. Say, Dear God, please help me, just like Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, to remember to do the right thing no matter what. In Jesus' name, Amen. I hope that you guys will remember to do the right thing no matter what. Wherever you go, remember to do the right thing and keep trusting because God has got your back. All right. I hope you enjoyed being with us today, and I'm wishing you an amazing week ahead. God bless you. Goodbye. Till next time.
Following Jesus is my great adventure.